Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Hazwani binti Mahmudin and today's breaking news is about the natural disaster that often strike in our country. When rain falls too quickly and the land underneath to absorb or drain it, flash floods happen. Roads can appear like rivers in that they can flood buildings and sweep away cars if there is a lot of water present. Therefore, flash floods can happen if it rains so intensely that it can cover the ground or drains. Cities across the world are affected by flash floods, which has increased in frequently due to climate change. Flash floods usually occur during heavy rains when the amount of water is too much to be handled by drains and sewers. It can happen quickly and without much warning. Roads can become impassable in addition to abandoned vehicles and houses and shops damaged by flood waters. Floods happen and when water overflows or wets normally dry drain. There are some locations where people do not need to worry about flooding, such as homes that are situated in an area that is relatively high and has good water systems. Floods typically develop over hours or even days, allowing communities plenty of time to prepare or leave. However, floods can occasionally occur without much notice and with little time for residents to be prepared. Flooding has been a significant issue for the last 30 years and it is now frequent in Malaysia. Our country now experiences floods on a yearly basis, which has a significant negative impact on both human and non-human life. Due to its harmful impacts of flash floods, we must pay close attention and take appropriate action to prevent or at least lessen the damage. Next, we will watch a video from Encik Ashraf Shah bin Tony Azlan Shah from Malaysia Meteorological Department talks about the details of the issue.
Floods in the East Coast, especially in Kelantan, have been an unresolved issue for the past 60 to 70 years. Shocked many and began to open the eyes of society to the ill effects of uncontrolled forest exploration. After decades of degradation, the forest land in the area is seen as no longer able to survive. In fact, many environmentalists can no longer hide their frustration over the damage done to Malaysia's. There are many factors that cause floods, but here I will mention 3 factors that usually cause floods. So, one of it is continuous heavy rain. Continuous heavy rains will cause floods, especially in low-lying areas. This is because a lot of water does not have time to flow out into the river. The second factor is unplanned development. Unplanned development can be affected to flash floods. This is because when the drainage system is not planned properly, when an area is to be developed, it will cause no water flow system or the existing water flow system to be obstructed and not drained properly. The third factor is drains, ditches and clogged rivers. So, this is also a factor to flash floods. When the heavy rains continue, then the water in the early stages need to be drained to the drain. Then from the drain should be drained to the next ditch, which is river. When drains, ditches or rivers are blocked, then it will disrupt the flow and will cause water to stagnate and cause floods. So, as a conclusion, the work of all parties is needed to reduce flood factors such as maintaining rivers and the cleanliness of our environment. The authorities and developers need to be more responsible for the development to be held. Don't think too much about money only. Systematic early planning is needed to face the flood season.
Next, turn to Arif Nazrin bin Zulkifli to report the situation at the scene.
We are live updating in Ijanya Sarjana, UiTM campus Kota Kinabalu. So it has been raining for 3 days. As we all know that continuous rain leads to flash flood. So these are the suggestions and recommendations in order to minimize flash flood from occurring.
The first suggestion that we can overcome in dealing with flash flood is by tightening the enforcement of law. Authorities should be responsible in dealing with flash floods. As we all know, one of the main contributing factors of flash floods to occur is the irresponsible people that throw away their rubbish in the drain that cause the drain to be clogged. A huge amount of rubbish that has been thrown in the drain may cause a blockage of the drain which unable from the water to flow and ends up with flash floods. For instance, the authority should take a strict law or action towards the irresponsible people who throw rubbish in the drain by compounding and fine them with a huge amount of fine. Even though there is a law for the people who commit the mistake, but local authorities should take serious and making sure that the people obey the law. This may help to minimize the potential from flash flood to occur and also helps to educate the people to not throw their rubbish in the drain, which also helps to reduce the risk of flash floods. Moving on towards the second suggestion is that local authority or local government should make a strategic management and improving the drainage system based on their locality. Poor drainage system in a certain area are also one of the contributing factors of the occurrence of flash flood. Authority have to take serious and have to act fast whenever there is a poor drainage system. In order for the authority to detect a poor drainage system is that whenever there is a heavy rain for several days, local authorities should monitor the drainage system under the jurisdiction of their locality. Example of a poor drainage system is that a drain that has been raised with water. Local authority have to be quick to take an action in order to overcome the drainage problem to prevent from flash flood. This will also cause another problem, which is traffic jams and people unable to go from one places to another places due to the rise of the water in the road. Therefore, local authorities should be alert and responsible in monitoring the problems in their locality, as it would help to minimize the occurrence of flash flood.
Hi, with me, I'm Shaza at Mabul College Education Centre. We can see that the rain is getting heavier and has not stopped since 4 p.m. Next, we will move to the next recommendation in dealing with this flash flood issue. The next suggestion and recommendation that can be taken in order to deal with this flash flood issue is that they can take proactive action and also can learn from the past. One of the earlier precautions that can be taken in dealing with the flash flood as flash flood victim itself is we can prepare and keep all important documents such as passport, identity card, bank card and many more documents in a safe place and easy to be reached. According to advice given by Malaysian Civil Defence Department, JPAM, among the emergency items that need to be prepared to face the flood disaster are food that does not need refrigeration or need to be cooked, sufficient cash, medicine and many more crucial things. If you are told to advocate, do right away to the designated education center. If possible, advocate early in the morning or during the day when it is safer and simpler to avoid being cut off by rising water. Avoid being obstinate or disobeying the rules, since doing so will make many people unhappy and put many people at risk. The Department of Irrigation and Drainage have implemented flood warning sirens, a messaging service that effectively gave early warning to the city residents involved to avoid the location of flood. This prevented the residents from becoming trapped in flood area and allowed them to take early safety measures. For instance, as reported by Jaafar 2022, government effort to stop water overflow from Sungai Klang and Sungai Gombak to affected areas, particularly in Jalan Segambut and Jalan Ampang, and mitigation measures such as the construction of flood mitigation walls at specific locations along Sungai Klang and Sungai Gombak, and the use of floodgates to prevent the reflow of water from Klang River to lower areas should be continued and being supported by the government and the local authorities. So, that's some updates and current report from me, Ain Shalva, TV2 at College Mabul Education Centre. Back to the newsroom with Hazwani Mahmudin.
Thank you Ain Shaza Syahira binti Muhammad Azlan Manogar. Now we will listen from Intan Shafinas binti Muhammad Sharif for the lesson learned.
The lesson that we can be highlighted
based on this Flashflood is environmental management, is that we need to be rather prepared in the face of the Flashflood. Every year, this area, especially in Pantai Timur, face the problem of flood issue where it is an unavoidable environment problem. So, the first lesson is the victim can be prepared to salvage valuable and important documents, including personal documents. This item need to be stored safely before the flood disaster arrives. Not only that, as a responsible society, instruction from the authorities must be followed. This is because the flood situation will be worsened, and it will make difficult for authorities such as JPAM and bomber to carry out the rescue operation. And then the role of the media also important, where the TV broadcast can be prepared with the flood announcement based on methodology forecast. Not only that, the responsibility parties such as the local government and the government need to look at the flood disaster in the East Coast area more seriously. This is because disaster often happen every year, and also many victims and people's property are founded. Therefore, the responsibility parties need to analyze and receive the proposal or method that can be used to curb the problem of flood in the East Coast. Next, there are also positive value or lesson that we can get from the flood disaster when it is briefed. Next, there are also positive value or lesson that we can learn based on this environmental issue, which is the responsibility nature among the community. This is because where the began, we can see the community help each other to make sure they still safe and can survive with this flash flood. So only that what we can learn based on this environmental issue. So that's all from me, Shafina Sharif, report for TV3. Thank you.
Thank you, Intan Shafinas. Rapidly rising and moving water causes flash floods, which can be quite destructive. People may have become unaware and unpreparedly trapped when sudden floods arise. Most of the fatalities were caused by drowning, while there may have been some traumatic injuries from being dragged through waters full of debris and being swept away into immovable things. There is a strong chance that people will die in flash floods. The role of communities affected by the floods is no less important. To lessen the harmful effects of disasters, their awareness and readiness in the face of flood disasters are crucial. Therefore, it is important to raise community awareness of flood management, particularly regarding how and what to prepare for floods, as well as what to do when they occur. That's all for today.